So,
All right, he may join us here once we get started, but if you give me the thumbs up, and we'll be good to go.
all righty. All right, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, it is late at, my iPhone says it's 6 o'clock on the dot. So with that, we're going to call the meeting of the Town of Blythewood Planning Commission of August 3rd, 2020. Call it to order. We will declare a quorum present. As now I believe all 7 members are on. We are meeting by Zoom again. So Brian and town staff, I appreciate y'all putting this together. And Melissa, did we have notification and posting of the agenda?
Yes, we did.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Cook, do you think it would be helpful to do a roll call since we're meeting by Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Cowan, if you could do that.
Rich McKenrick,
Present.
Malcolm Gorge,
Here.
Ed Kessler, Ernestine Middleton,
Present.
Derek Pugh,
Here.
Erica Page,
Here.
and Marcus Taylor.
He's connecting, but he's here.
Yeah. And as I believe Ed is as well, but we'll let them chime in whenever they get their microphones working. Town staff sent out the packet, which included the agenda. I hope everybody had a chance to read it. Were there any additions or deletions to the agenda for this evening's meeting?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Gord. Have a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, give us a thumbs up. All opposed? And I believe that carries. So we have an adoption of the agenda. And Brian, Mr. Cook, thank you for putting the pledge up. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Cook, for that background. It's always helpful to see an American flag when you say the pledge.
Of course.
Attached to the agenda were the minutes from the July 6th, 2020 meeting. I've had a chance to look over them and think I had no additions or deletions. Would anybody else have anything to add or take away from those minutes?
It looked good to me.
Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. So that minutes are approved by acclamation. And now we're going to move on to Roman numeral number 2, which would be the presentation. And Mr. Cook, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, sir. I believe we have a few folks from the school district here to speak just briefly on the new Bethlehem-Berry Elementary School that we're all waiting on. So I'll put up on the screen the plan that they submitted for us and welcome them to our meeting.
Indeed.
Good evening. This is Larry Bartholomew with ADC Engineering, and I'm the civil engineer working with the school district on the replacement for the Bethlehem-Berry Elementary School there in Blythewood.
Hi, Larry.
Mhm.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, great, great. Okay, so yeah, so thought we'd just give a brief overview of the project. And so what you're seeing here is an overall plan on an aerial photograph showing where the school ended up being, and I'm going to try to annotate here. So the existing school, as you see, is right here. And then the new school will be built behind the existing facility. This will allow the school to remain in operation during construction. The school will be built in 3 phases to accommodate the existing school. If you could go to the next page for me.
Okay. Moving it slow. It's working. It'll get there.
Worries. Or if you like, I can share my screen, whichever is easiest. So this plan here, if you can make it full screen for me.
Mhm.
This shows the 4 individual phases of construction. The first phase in the top left-hand corner shows the construction of the school, along with some of the site improvements that are behind the school. Then we move into phase 2, which is in the top right-hand corner, which is where we're able to demolish some of the buildings that are at the school now to allow for a portion of the parking lot to be constructed along with the new drives that will connect to Boney Road. Then the third phase of construction is in the lower left-hand corner, and that's where we finish the parking improvements for the school. And then phase 4, which is in the lower right-hand corner, is essentially just the demolition of the existing school. So construction will be in 4 individual phases to allow the existing school to remain open. Now, if you go to the next phase or the next sheet for me.
Okay. Get the spinning circle, so kind of stand by there.
So this next sheet, when it does come up, will show the overall site plan for what the school property will look like once construction is complete. It's that sheet C200.
Yep. Going back up. Sorry.
Yep.
Technical difficulties.
That's all right. It's Monday.
Okay, yeah, so this is what the school will ultimately look like once construction is complete. So this will be the main entrance into the school right here. Uh-oh.
Just continue. Sorry, it's just taking a minute to scroll down.
Okay. So yeah, so I was just going to kind of point out what's going on with the layout of the school and the parking lot, and all. Okay, now it looks like it is up. So again, this will be the main entrance into the school. Got the parent drop-off loop that will go through here if that shows up.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then buses will actually enter the site from the lower drive down here at the bottom.
Mhm.
And really, that's the project. Very quickly. I don't know if anyone had any questions, or if John or Will, if you wanted to say anything else.
I have a question. Will it still, I'm assuming that you won't have to go around the school like you do now on Boney Road, but I do
Right.
still see something. Is it going to be a shorter distance, like a straight through to Boney Road, or are you still going to go around that? Is that going to be green space?
So what you see, let me, so this drive back here, it is just for emergency vehicles only.
Okay,
So you'll no longer have to drive behind. You will, the parents will use this top loop here to drop off. So you're not going behind the school itself like you currently
Okay.
do.
so if you,
The property the property where the school initially was going to, or the property is technically being vacated by the school. What is that going to be used for?
Yeah,
Right now, it's just going to
Where
be
the
green
old school,
space.
where the existing school is. What's the plans for that property?
Larry, I'm happy to
Is it gonna
chime
be a
in.
park?
Okay.
My name's, good evening, everyone. My name's Will Anderson, Chief Operations Officer for Richland 2. Appreciate Larry giving a quick overview, and I thank y'all for your time. I've spoken to Brian a few times about this project and other projects, and I appreciate his willingness to work together. And I know I've met a few of you in passing as well. So we're very excited about this project and moving forward. To answer your question directly, Mr. Kessler, right now we don't have a plan for that. There's been talks about working with the town and the Richland County Recreation Commission on deeding this over for parks or whatnot fits in the master plan for the town of Blythewood. We would be open to any types of negotiations that would work. Right now, we don't have this in our master plan for any future development. So it would, we think it would behoove us to work with the town and to really helpfully fit in with the town's master plan for what works. We see this building as really being part of the town, being so close downtown, and we're just excited about having this brand new facility be a part of the revitalization and renovations that y'all got going. So that was a long answer to your question, Mr. Kessler, but right now there is no plans for that property.
Just out of curiosity, is the capacity of the school being increased?
The capacity will be, overall capacity will be 747 students. That is our district standard for facilities. We do understand we have a capacity issue currently, but we also know with our academic folks, education people who are really versed on that, there's a fine line between what's a good school size. And so we would actually have to, if the attendance, if the enrollment stays the same, we'd have to redraw the attendance lines for that area and do some rezoning to accommodate. Currently, I guess last year they had over 800 students at Bethel Hamburg, but our capacity is going to be 747.
Okay.
Mr. Anderson, do you know the overall footprint that we're looking at on the screen right now as far as acreage goes?
Larry may be able to answer that better. I know the square footage, or Mr. John Clayton, is roughly about 135,000 square feet, I believe, but it's two-story. So the footprint is actually going to be a little bit smaller than the footprint of the spread out buildings on the current site. But the acreage of say where the school is going to be and where the vacant land is, I'm not 100% sure. Larry, do you know by chance, since you're our civil engineer?
No, I think the property is either 22 or 26 acres. I don't recall offhand. So you're looking at probably the developable area. If you were to straighten Boney Road through, you're probably looking about 16 to 19 acres to the left and then the residual to the right is my guess. I don't have that information here in front of me.
That's okay. That's, thank you very much. I was just curious. And then a follow-up question to Ed's question. Bethel Hanbury's enrollment currently is over what this new school will accommodate. Is that what I heard?
That's correct. Yes, sir. And our plan would be to rezone the attendance lines until we do have two sites, two elementary school sites on the west side of I-77. One is on the corner of Blythewood Road and Fulmer Road on the northern end, and ironically, the other site is on the southern end of Fulmer Road where it hits 21, basically. So we do have two sites to accommodate. Right now, those sites are not funded, and so that would have to require additional funding to build those. So we would have to do a rezoning to accommodate that. And right now, that's not been finalized or anything like that. But at this point, if the enrollment stays the same, we'd recommend that to our school board.
I appreciate it. From a planning commission standpoint, we have a very, very large neighborhood that is actually outside the town of Blythewood, interestingly enough, but across the street from Town Hall, which is going to be upwards of 600 homes. And they're doing infrastructure for that neighborhood now. So I would anticipate we see building in there before the elementary school is complete, which just curious. I didn't know whether Richland 2 is aware of the development going on around or not, but there's going to be homes going up in there probably quicker than you're going to build this school.
Yes, sir. We're fortunate that we have a good relationship with the town, with Brian and others, and then with Richland County. We have a director of planning who actually used to work with Richland County, and so we do stay abreast of that growth and those new developments. Our initial need when this was happening was on this school to build a new school, and we do have some capacity at Langford Elementary, for example, and a couple other schools that are either at or near capacity that we could accommodate in the short term. But yes, you're exactly right. In the long term, we do have those two sites that will hopefully help alleviate some of the continued growth that you all are seeing in our area, and we will hopefully, if near future, have to potentially go for another bond referendum potentially to pay for new schools.
Will, how long is this project going to take? Build
construction we should break ground, and John, Mr. Clayton, who's our director of new construction, can tell me if I'm wrong, but we should break ground in October, November timeline, so pretty soon. And it's about a 2-year process with our goal of opening the school in August of 2022.
Okay.
So it will hopefully be complete by May of 2022. Giving us time to move in and all that good stuff, with us then starting school August of 2022.
Will you be able to maintain contact with us as the Planning Commission? I know you keep in touch with the council and Mayor Franklin, but as the Planning Commissioners, we obviously have a very strong interest in how this area develops, both for the short term of the town and developing our comprehensive plan that we're just about to start thinking about rewriting for the next decade. And there is tremendous interest in that vacated space for a potential recreation facility. I appreciate the land currently is still owned by Richland 2 and will stay that way until you're good and ready to make a decision about its disposition. But that is very definitely of extreme interest to the town for for developing it as a recreational space.
I actually put in the chat the link to more information about the facility. It's got some images on the school, some of the look and feel that were more of the design, as well as more information that we update monthly on this website. So it's got all of our sites, but the direct link is for Bethel Hanbury. But if you just went back to scroll back elementary or pathway projects, you can find the same information for all of our sites. And of course, we're happy to continue to do this as often as we need to keep you all informed. And we do a monthly school board meeting the fourth Tuesday of every month is our update on all of our projects. And Bethel Hanbury being a very large project is much part of that. So all that information shared publicly, but we're happy to speak with you all at your convenience.
And the board meetings are at the R2I2?
And they are currently virtual, just like we're doing today.
All right.
So
Right.
yes, sir. At this point, we have not gone back to in-person meetings.
So we need to look out for those. But appreciate that information, Will. And you said the links are in the chat comments?
Yes, and I promise you at our regular board meetings, my cat's not walking back and forth across. So I'm sorry about that. But yes, in the chat, I clicked on. There's a link. That's what I put. And Brian can probably share that with you all as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on the presentation?
No, it's very helpful and
Yeah.
a big step for the town.
Absolutely. It will be a definite improvement for what we have there, and certainly look forward to watching the progress as it moves forward.
And
Well,
one more comment I'd like to make is that we will have a groundbreaking, or whatever you want to call it, ceremony. We're going to kind of let it get started a little bit, but we'll make sure that the town and everyone's invited to be part of that. So we'll keep you up to date when that actually happens. That's in the very initial planning stages right now.
And Will, just for the sake of the record, because I couldn't quite make it out in the drawings, the intention is that the gymnasium will remain standing.
Yes, sir, that's correct. We are not demolishing the gymnasium. We are doing some upgrades with restrooms in the front entrance. We are keeping the gymnasium. We are, that would something we're also open to working out with the town or rec commission or whoever, if that was something that that you all or the rec commission or someone would like to, or another organization would like to take on as a way to manage and maintain that. Once again, it's not in our long-term plan for the district. But we do want to preserve that historically and be happy to work with any group on if they would like to manage that facility.
Yeah.
But we are making some improvements to it.
I believe our local historical society and museum have already expressed very great interest, along with your cat. Yeah, the historical society have got very great interest in making use of that property for extending the museum and for using it as a community space.
Sure, and like I said, we'd be happy to have those conversations and make sure that it's however that needs the next steps we need to be. But we are not tearing it down, making some improvements, and then happy to go from there.
Great, appreciate it, Will.
You're welcome. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Mhm.
You.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. That was very helpful. Look forward to seeing that plan move forward here in the near future. So we're going to move on in the agenda to Roman numeral number 3. And Mr. Cook, I'm not sure if anybody has signed up to speak regarding action items through email or the Facebook Live.
Checking email now. I see none. Let me check a few other things here. Think we're good for now.
Okay, and then I'll again hand it off to you for the first action item under Roman numeral 4, which would be the Red Gate PDD.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay. All righty. So you may be familiar with this. We talked about it a couple times during the last year. It's a property down Blythewood Road at a syrup mill known as Redgate Farms, often known as Redgate Farms 1 and 2. It's property of approximately 143 acres of undeveloped land. It was annexed into the town of Blythewood from Richland County back in the mid 2000s as a planned development district. As you know, a planned development district is a site-specific zoning that is established specific to an individual site that lays out what you can and what you can't do with a piece of property. For various reasons, the property was never developed. There were some attempts, the original development and several others along the way. The bank acquired the property at some point. Last records indicate Arthur State Bank maintains approximately 143 acres. And the very top corner piece right at Syrup Mill and Blythewood is a little over 2 acres is owned by Sharp Properties currently, according to Richland County records. Which brings us to what we've been talking to today and in the past. Part of our ordinance, section 155.272 of, again, the Town of Blythewood Code of Ordinances, places a time-specific condition upon the established planned development zoning district with a mandate for the Planning Commission to initiate a rezoning under certain circumstances. That code section is on your screen, and I'll just read it very quickly. It says failure to begin, failure to progress, failure to complete. If the responsible party fails to begin, fails to progress, or fails to complete development as agreed in the descriptive statement means the plan development document, Town Council may charge the developer with violation of the zoning ordinance, may rezone the property, or may take any combination of these actions. In any event, if the plan development is not initiated within 2 years of its establishment, the Planning Commission shall initiate the rezoning of the property to an appropriate district classification in conformity with the comprehensive plan. Again, that's 155.272, application and review procedures within the plan development and zoning district. It kind of goes on with your narrative here, a little bit more of the history of the property. Basically, I'll just kind of go through it briefly. We talked about it last year in 2018 and also early 2019. We also brought in the property owners at that time. They were looking to sell the property, and they had a developer that was looking to develop the property. That developer came in and was looking to do an amendment, which basically is a rezoning. It's a planned development district to an amended planned development district, meaning that he was going to change up the package that he was looking to build on based on the zoning. Still would be a mixed use development. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended the Town Council in 2019, in June of 2019, to approve the rezoning because it was basically less density that was approved previously, and a few other criteria that the Planning Commission at the time thought would be more desirable than the existing district in place. However, the applicant withdrew the application before Town Council could take a vote on the proposed project, and it still sits today with nothing happening with the property from a development or permitting standpoint. The master plan, or the for the comprehensive plan, basically the illustrative land use plan, which is found in the Town of Blythewood's master plan and incorporated within the comprehensive plan, basically shows a mixed use development on the subject property. This would be based on the zoning that was in place at the time that the plans were created, being the master plan and the comprehensive plan, and or when they were updated. So they would show that there's an existing mixed use development there because that's what was in place at the time. that the codes were rewritten or the plans were rewritten. A future land use exhibit in the comprehensive plan generally depicts the subject property as being located in a greenbelt node. Section 4.3 of the comprehensive plan states that the town should work with developers to identify sensitive areas and create development plans to preserve and protect sensitive areas, which you can look at the property when we get to the aerial, and you can kind of see it's a very nice piece of undeveloped property with a lot of folks that are around it that are paying attention to the environmental aspects as well. If the Planning Commission decides to move forward with a rezoning to a district classification that's in conformity with the comprehensive plan, they would direct staff to do so, and we would bring back a rezoning map amendment application to you. We would contact, of course, by certified mail, the property owners in question, so they would be aware of what was going on, and just to make sure that everybody, being the property owner and the town, are on the same page as we move forward, because we want to make sure that, full disclosure, that everybody knows what's going on. So the Planning Commission deciding what property, if in fact it is rezoned, what would be the best district classification. You have rural, you have R40, which is a residential district, 40,000 square foot lot. You have an R20 residential district with a 20,000 square foot lot. Potentially the neighborhood commercial, neighborhood office may or may not work on the corner, at your discretion, or a combination of D1 development district is a reasonable district for your consideration. The district under 155.031, it states the district purposes under D1. And again, I'll just read this quickly. The district is intended to provide for large tracts of land located primarily on the fringe of urban growth, where the predominant character of urban development has not yet been fully established, but where the current character of use are predominantly residential or agricultural with scattered related uses. It is further recognized that future demand for developable land will generate requests for amendments and zone designations to remove land from D1 classification and place into another more intensely developed classification as a natural consequence of urban expansion. So basically it's kind of a holding pattern, kind of in between, right on the fringe of urban growth. That is one that you could potentially take a look at. There are others. Should you, as the Planning Commission, initiate the rezoning and direct staff to bring back before you a rezoning map amendment application package, staff would create it, put it on the next available Planning Commission meeting where you could make a recommendation to Town Council. Town Council would then have a public hearing, have a first reading, followed by the second reading. And of course, like I said earlier, the affected property owners would be notified by certified mail of the pending action. And we'd want everybody to be on the same page and have a say in what's going on with their properties. A list of permitted uses in D1 and the bulk regulations are included in your packet. And also, just to kind of show you the map, outlined in red is the property in question. Over here, of course, is Cobblestone, Blythewood Road, Sturt Mill Road, Muller Road. So it's just these two nice parcels right here. So the zoning map, I'm gonna kind of scroll down real quick and show you this. Again, Cobblestone over here, shown blue as a planned development district. So these two properties right here are what we're talking about. These roads are showing on the zoning map because they were anticipated to be built way back when. They never were constructed. So there are no roads or infrastructure to speak of on the property. But I just wanted to point it out that that's generally where it is. If we kind of keep going and scrolling down, it gets into the sections of the comprehensive plan that I talked about. This little section right here is out of the master plan that was folded into the comprehensive plan. It shows the planned development district as it was anticipated it would be built when the comprehensive plan was updated. And again, we get into the uses that are permitted in D1. So if everybody's still awake, that pretty much concludes that long dissertation, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Brian, I appreciate it. And to kick things off, just for heading into next month's meeting, if we indeed do this tonight, which I would certainly anticipate, we give staff a recommendation to bring something back to the planning commission next month. I would also like for that being the case, to see what we would have to do. And I don't think we have to do anything, but correct me if I'm wrong, to move our meeting back to the manner in the nature that town council's meeting with the social distance set up, just in order, as soon as people see this on our agenda, there's going to be people interested in coming out and speaking. Certainly the property owner would be invited. This is probably one of those big rocks for me that I wouldn't want to attempt to do over Zoom. And I know council has some recommendations before it currently, and getting some legal opinion on just that clarification. If somebody joins via Zoom that may not be comfortable coming to an open meeting. So we can certainly discuss that here at the end of the agenda, but in order to keep things moving, I think we're way behind the 8 ball here. We should have done something about this long ago. So let's open up the floor and see what questions they have for Brian. I certainly appreciate, again, the presentation by staff, the recommendation. I like D1, but let's let some commissioners weigh in and ask some questions about this property.
My comment, I'll be honest with you, after going through this and reading this this afternoon, I kind of like D1, to be honest with you. I really do.
I think it leaves, I think D1, as Mr. Cook said, leaves our options open.
Open, yeah.
Certainly nothing can happen without an applicant coming back before the planning commission first. The PDD has sat out there for way too long and is probably more dense than we would even want to approve at this point. I know the interested buyer to that property a year ago, probably over a year ago now, they were willing to reduce the density, but had they come in under Arthur State Bank and said, hey, we have a PDD that allows us this density and we plan on building it, kind of the legal tables would have been turned. It would have been up to us as a town council then to fight a PDD that was on the books that we purposely didn't act on. So Ed, I agree with you. I like D1. I think it leaves our options open and kind of gets the reins back on what is a golden nugget right here on the edge of Blythewood.
Well, it puts the control back to the town.
Yeah, I like D1 also. When I read it earlier, I wasn't quite clear of what the original intent was. I know no action was taken on it, but what did they plan on doing with it originally?
I think originally it was a mixed use, wasn't it, Brian? It was
correct. Original development comprised of 143 acres, 232 single family homes, 300 multifamily apartment homes, and approximately 36 acres of general commercial.
So Cobblestone didn't have any objections to that?
I wouldn't put it quite like that.
All right. Moving right along.
That's a very loose definition of objection there, Ernestine.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm definitely in agreement with D1 that puts the power back in our place, in our hands, especially if we don't know what the uses are going to be for that particular parcel of land. It'll give us an opportunity to be able to review it again once the developers put in the application.
Thank you, sir. Erica, I believe Erica, this may have been Erica's first meeting. Erica, you're going to have to help me here, but was this not one of your first meetings on Planning Commission when all of this Red Gate stuff came up? So you're familiar with it, correct?
Yes, yes. And I was actually interested, well, I was there at that meeting when the plans were presented, and I did have some questions for the layout. And then, but I wanted to see, Brian, did we have anybody as a representative from the bank at this meeting tonight or anything?
No.
But we definitely
I was just
would
curious.
next month when we're asking for action as far as
Sure.
approving it. So that's why, and Ernestine, you had alluded, and I know Malcolm is kind of in the same boat as far as his feelings on meeting in person. I don't want to disenfranchise any of the commissioners, but at the same time, don't want to disenfranchise certainly the property owner or anybody else interested in speaking. So back to the town council's action that they asked for a couple Monday nights ago, asked Mr. Meggs to look at. He presented some language. Brian, do you anticipate that being done before the next planning commission meeting?
Yes, August 24th, it should receive second reading before council.
Okay. If they tweak the wording of that, which I believe they might before second reading, would it have to go back through both readings?
No, they
Okay.
could change it between first and second reading and put a bow on it on August 24th, which I anticipate we probably will. And just to kind of, Mr. Chairman, our technology, obviously, we're working on getting audio visual upgrade at the manor. So hopefully we'll have that in place before our next planning commission meeting, where we'll have a professional system where we're not operating off a 15-year-old laptop and me trying to conduct the meeting and turn it and everything not work. So hopefully we'll be up to speed and we'll have a more professional presentation in person at the manor when we get to our next month's meeting. So.
And then Marcus, I know you sat on the commission before, and I'm sure you've heard of Redgate, but I don't know that you were on the commission when this came up probably a year or so ago. Do you have any questions about this? Are you in agreement with D1 or how do you feel about it?
Yes, I'm in agreement with D1. I read it earlier yesterday, and I am in agreement. So they done had their property a long time and it's just sitting there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Erica, did you have any questions for Mr. Cook as far as property use before we make a recommendation? And are you concurring that D1 probably is our best solution?
I do agree. Yep.
Just one more thing, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Just to kind of reiterate on my one, word sentence earlier of no, I didn't invite the property owner. Basically, I wanted the planning commission to have a discussion of, if in fact you guys did want to move forward with this, what were your feelings on it, and talk about the zoning district. And again, we won't be moving forward with anything until the property owner is officially notified with certified mail of a potential rezoning. Obviously, we will run it through our legal department to make sure there aren't any big red flags that go up there. And, we want to take our time and give the property owner a full, ability to come before the public and speak. So we're not in a rush to do this at all. It's been many, many years. So we want to make sure we take our time and, have the property owner, have their, day.
And Mr. Cook, just to tack on to that, if we approve this tonight and turn it back over to staff to bring the full recommendation back to us next month, would that property also be posted? We would post it, correct?
We would. While technically the planning commission is not a public hearing, therefore we don't need to advertise or post. We like to, as a rule, post a property for planning commission meetings and just to get it out there. We certainly will for the zoning public hearing by state law have to post and advertise, but we will post for the planning commission meeting just to let everybody know that something's going on. Again, we will notify the property owners in certified mail. So we'll have that as well. And so what you would do tonight is, if you were inclined, you'd make a motion to staff to bring back a rezoning request of D1. And we would do that unless something else came up to the contrary.
I read through some of those posting requirements and again, not necessarily that we're going out looking for a fight, but I would like to give as much opportunity for the public to speak and as much opportunity to take heat off the planning, off town council, if and when this goes to them. Just for transparency, I'm very pleased that staff was willing to post that for the planning commission meeting, I think that's prudent. Malcolm, do you have anything to add here? As far as D1, I know we have the pleasure of having some rather long-term planning commissioners here who have been through some of this. Do you have anything to add here?
No, I think the comments have been very reasonable and objective. This was on our list going back to my years, and it was old then. So I'm absolutely in favor of rezoning. And I think D1 probably brings it back to the intent of the master plan and comprehensive plan. So I would be good for that. And let's hear what the immediate property owners have to say about that, and residents in the town. I'm sure there will be some views that we should maintain this as rural, but being pragmatic about it, I think D1 is the way to go.
Our strongest argument against rural right now, I think, would be that currently it's not zone rural, so that would be going back quite a ways and we would maybe miss an opportunity for D1 for certain things D1 gives us that rural wouldn't. So that being the case, does anybody else have any questions before we might entertain a motion for staff?
Let me just ask, since you brought that up, Rich, what advantages do we get for being D1 as opposed to rural? Because that doesn't change my opinion. I still think it should be zone D1, but what's the advantages of it
Sure,
being?
Brian, do you want to clarify that? And it's my understanding, and that going back to rural, which was what it was before PDD, I mean, that's the property owner. I can see how the property owner would have a pretty good argument that that's kind of whiplash going from the PDD back to rural. And we've come a long way as Blythewood, even in the comprehensive and master plan, recognizing what we want that property to be. But, and I don't think you're going to see a farm on that property. So if we go back to rural, we're just going to be asking for work for ourselves. But Brian, do you want to weigh in here? And
Yeah, absolutely. There's two parts really. You know, you have the bulk of the property, but you also have the corner piece. Should you want to treat the corner piece differently, that is certainly under your purview. But a D1 district, again, as we kind of discussed earlier when I read the definition, is kind of a holding district. However, it does allow some uses that are in line with, I guess, the rural, but also more uses in line. You can do single family home, you can do governmental buildings, you can do parks, recreation type uses, you know, place religious organizations could, you know, you could build a church or a synagogue or a temple. There are more uses that would be allowed. You have a residential option. So a residential developer could potentially in D1 come in and develop. Obviously the density is going to be different with D1 than it would be in the plan development district as it is currently keyed up. But it's a district that works right on the edge of your urban core that again is kind of a holding pattern, and the ordinance realizes that it'll probably be some type of request for another rezoning as the developer comes in and wants to fine tune their project. But it's one of those is basically kind of in between. It's kind of a holding zoning district that doesn't allow every use under the sun, but it does allow some reasonable uses and would give the owner some marketability under zoning for the property as well, while still keeping in mind the environmental aspects and our comprehensive plan and where the town is now compared to where the town was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Good.
Mr. Cook, just to follow up on that, we would also notify the property owner of the corner lot as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Very good. Then we've got a plan. I'll make a motion that we should advise staff to make arrangements for rezoning and to propose rezoning to D1 for the area designated currently as Redgate.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion on those motions prior to a vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to record this as a unanimous vote, 7-0, on the staff recommendation. And Ms. Cowan, can we go ahead and have it reflect, difficult on Zoom, but can we go ahead and have it reflect that it was a 7-0 vote? Or Ms. Cook, would you rather us do a voice vote? You just think unanimous is fine?
I think unanimous is fine if Ms. Cowan is
Right.
good with it. 7-0.
Yeah, I have it. 7-0.
I appreciate it. And Mr. Cook, we'll look forward to what you bring back to us next month. And then we will know what town council's legal advisor says. And if the Zoom meeting for some, not all, passes on second reading, but it would be our intention to have next month's planning commission meeting in the manor, practicing social distancing, temperature taking, wearing masks. So I'll keep you posted with staff's help on how those plans are going. Is that okay with everybody?
Sounds fine.
And keep in mind, we will have the opportunity to participate in that meeting via Zoom if you're not interested in being at the manor in person. If that fails, that past first reading.
Got a screwdriver or something?
And we'll keep everybody up to date on how that ordinance is going as well. Okay, discussion items. We're down to Roman numeral number 5 and Mr. Gorge comprehensive plan. And I sent you a name and a number of somebody that may be interested in helping with that. But go ahead, you can kind of bring us up to date on what you have going on.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I got your message. I've been tied up all day, really, but I certainly put that on my list of potential participants. I think as a planning commission, we really need to pull this committee idea together because a committee of 2 ain't going to work. Not that there's any immediate urgency, I don't think, but we really need to get this formalized so that we know who's going to be participating and what additional help we need. So I'd certainly like people to either make a commitment or not tonight so that we know where we stand. And what I've done since our last meeting is to reach out to the COG and Gregory Sprouse, who's the development director there. And they are more than willing to help us out with the rewrite and providing all the data and statistics and all that good stuff that they're so good at. And they're proposing that we should have a discussion with them towards the end of August, which sounds about right to me as a kickoff meeting. So with that said, I'd just like to open the offer to everybody once more for volunteers to assist with the rewrite of the comprehensive plan. Well, Brian, you might have something else to add, but that's as much as I can speak to this evening, I believe.
Yes, sir. I do, and just kind of briefly, if I could share my screen and just kind of go over a few things, we can come back to where we ended here, looking for folks to kind of help out because we do need to get the ball kind of pushed down the road a little bit with the comprehensive plan. But I'm going to share my screen here. Just give me 1 second. All right. I'm just taking everyone to the town's website. I just want to show you where our current comprehensive plan is on our website. So basically, this is the landing page of the town of Blythewood. So as you kind of scroll across here, you kind of find some information about the town, obviously. But if you get business community and you scroll down, over here, comprehensive town plan. So this has a few things. It has the comprehensive plan, which is this document here. You have the master plan. You have priorities for last year, and design guidelines and sustainability best practices. So what I'll do is just briefly, and I won't be long with this, I promise. Just want to show you when we click on this. This is what our comprehensive plan looks like. So let's go to the table of contents. Again, I'll be very brief.
You're good.
Your introduction to purpose is pretty straightforward. Population element, economic element, natural resource element, cultural element, cultural resource element, community facilities, housing element, your land use, your transportation, and your priority investment. That's pretty much your plan. You know, the part that we will spend a lot of time on is dependent upon which areas that you all want to spend time on. Definitely our land use element is going to be very much at the top of the list, but these other elements are important as well. So we basically, when we get going, we'll just be kind of filled into blanks with the COG's help, which leads to a lot of the exhibits within the comprehensive plan. If you look at a comprehensive plan and you look at all this stuff in here, that's a lot of stuff. Not stuff we necessarily need to worry too much about, because the Council of Governments is going to be helping us. And a lot of this is just data driven. A lot of it is, you know, something that, you know, you'll read once and never think much about. But with the exception of our future land use map and our zoning map, and, you know, some transportation issues. So the comprehensive plan is more simple than it would seem. And I just wanted to, by doing this, kind of show you, don't get bogged down, don't get intimidated. Stick with these, you know, elements, and it's a very simple way to go. We'll have the comprehensive plan off and rolling in no time with that. So another thing I'll just show real quick, these design guidelines. Again, design guidelines can be found where we found the comprehensive plan, but just as an example, just to start thinking as you work towards a comprehensive plan and move towards a zoning code rewrite at some point in the future. There's some really good examples in here. This document is a really good document, and it goes back many, many years, and I'm gonna scroll up to the top. But it gives examples of things that the prior town leaders, commission members were wanting to have for the town. And some are happening, some aren't happening. Some went a little too far, meaning that they were great, but you can't get a developer to come do them. So there's a balance somewhere in between. But this is a very good document that we should and could all be drawing on. Again, certain things are awesome. Certain things probably aren't going to work. Again, just wanted to point it out because it's a really good document.
Yep.
And again, that can be found in the same area that we were just looking. So your comprehensive plan, just wanted to show you where it was as we start moving forward with it. You know, you can find it on our website. So that is my 2 cents worth there. And back to where we were with Mr. Gorge, we just need a few folks to kind of work on a committee on a, you know, as needed basis to get this rolling along. The COG is going to help us. You know, hopefully we can get them sooner than later to get going. And of course, Mr. Gorge is already full steam ahead working on some stuff. And as is Sarah Lynn. So we're just looking for a little assistance there. And once we get going and we come up with a plan, we'll have some public meetings. We'll get some advisory boards, advisory council. We'll put together, you know, a cross section of our community, interested stakeholders, and get an opinion or thought from those folks as we move along, because it's a plan for our community. And that's the end of my pitch.
Yep. Thanks, Brian. And just to add to that, my kind of overall, excuse me, my overall philosophy is that we make this a project-based approach, because at the end of the day, that's what we'll be working towards, a list of projects and improvements that we believe answers the needs of the town or will provide benefits to residents and businesses as best we can predict for the next 10, 15 years or so. So if you think of it as looking for improvement opportunities, it's kind of easier than just having to plow through a whole lot of statistics that don't mean a great deal. And I think people can relate to that more easily, or that's my hope.
Mr. Gorge, I sent you a message in the chat that said that I'll be happy to join, and I will help you do as much as possible until December.
I appreciate that, Derek, very much. And hopefully you'll still be able to fight our corner when you go on to bigger, better things. But appreciate that. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Malcolm, for that report. And of course, I'm ready to dive in head first. We just need to get you some help and get it moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that.
Brian, do you want to discuss training?
I do, yes. So as most of you know, if you haven't had the introductory comprehensive training, which is 6 hours of training, under state law, you have to get that. The Municipal Association has a really good link where you can take it an hour at a time. And I think I sent that out to everyone. Our staff are going to take it too. It's a good way to get that. Even if you've already had the training for your orientation, those 6 hours, still a good refresher, some good stuff in there. So we'll be taking that as well. If you haven't had orientation, there are a few exceptions, but if you haven't had it, please take it, because each decision you make is based upon meeting the criteria under state law. So we want to not give anybody that may want to question anything we do any leg to stand on with that. So I sent that out, I think last week or the week before last. Secondly, every year we need 3 hours of continuing education training. So I will be setting up some of that training here in the next week or so. I'm going to offer it in hour sections. I'm going to bring in the Planning Commission, our staff, the Board of Architecture Review, the Board of Zoning Appeals. Whereas you probably are used to sitting down for 3 hours at a time. That's kind of a long time to sit and listen. So we're going to break it into 2 hour-and-a-half sessions, and it'll be part A and part B. And you got to, if you get part A, you got to get part B for it to count towards your 3 hours. The topics, it'll be a Zoom meeting, so you can sit around and listen in your pajamas and not have to sit at town hall. So that'll be helpful as well. I'll send an invite out for that in the very near future. Again, we have to get that under state law as well. So I'm going to try to offer more of that as we move along in the next couple of months. I know normally some of you would gotten your training from a conference like American Planning Association conference or other conferences. Obviously with the current situation we're in with COVID-19, it's more difficult, but hopefully we can get back to that at some point. I enjoy those conferences as well. If I see anything that may be interesting, I'll send that as well. And we got to get that training. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that update and encourage everybody to sign up for the continued ed training in your orientation if you don't have that under your belt already as well. We did, the town council did take up the request to prioritize the road project update. They passed the resolution in order to do so at the last council meeting. Between Commissioner Gorge and Mr. Cook, do you have any update on the road projects or?
Yeah.
No, nothing further to add from my side, but I keep in close contact with the transportation department at Richland County. They're really the active body in all of this. And the TPAC meeting that I'm a member of, we meet at the end of every month just to make sure we know what progress is being made. But I think it was a big step forward to get recognition to Creech as a number 1 priority, and it's paired now with McNulty. The design consultants, parish and partners are about to start on all of that or get into the next phase. So hopefully we should get regular updates on the progress that they are making. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll just provide feedback as and when I get it from the transportation department.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cook. Anything to add to that?
I think Mr. Ward's covered it. Again, just to reiterate, council did approve a resolution to try to, move Creech Road and Buffalo McNulty. But again, to reiterate, Mr. Gorge, it was the intent to have both McNulty and Creech under one construction package and transfer the remaining fund to the Blythewood widening project, again, with Richland County in negotiation with parish and partners. So they're in the works, and I think we're going to see some good things happening in the very near future.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions on the road projects or how it went at town council? Thank you both for that update. I think you covered it, unless anybody has any questions. If not, we'll move on to open citizens comment and look to Mr. Cook.
Checking out, see if we got have any comments. Let's see here. 1 second. So we have no email comments. I'm just checking the comments, see if there are any on YouTube. Let's see here. And I see none on YouTube. So
Okay, I appreciate you checking. And certainly want to take this opportunity to thank the commissioners. If you have not had a chance to look at the minutes from town council meetings, please do so, because you'll see on there how our recommendations and our votes, how we dovetail together with town council on their recommendations and things they're passing. I happened to be at the town council meeting and brought a little bit, hopefully a little bit of clarification to a town council member's question about a previous rezoning issue. But I do appreciate being part of a planning commission that is an active planning commission where people get involved. They educate themselves on the topics we're going to discuss and are very active participants. So I appreciate that. It does not go unnoticed. And certainly our town of Blythewood staff that does a great job preparing us for the meeting, getting the packets out, making the copies, and then spending their time in the evenings just being on here as part of their job duties. It doesn't go unnoticed, and we certainly appreciate it. So if there is nothing else to add, Brian, let me know if I need to do anything to move our next meeting back to the manor. Hopefully, I think we can do that just with the agenda posting. But if there's no other comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I second that.
Motion and a second to adjourn the meeting this evening. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Don't think anybody will oppose that. I hope everybody has a good evening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.